All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are a very small group today, which is absolutely perfect, gives us time to have kind of that hands-on training, which we really haven't been able to do a lot of. My name is Kim Rosa. I'm the ClearTouch trainer for the Round Rock District. Some of you may have had orientation or other training sessions with me. If not, I am a former educator. I taught middle school English and history for years, and then I do teach, I guess, ESL online to virtual kiddos. So we have Danny on the call with us as well today. Danny, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm actually stationed in Florida. I am one of Kim's counterparts. I'm really looking forward to, being here, assisting Kim and helping you guys with any questions that you have.
Awesome, thank you. So as I said, the hope for today's session is that it's a little more hands-on than what we've done before. So we're going to dive into Snowflake and kind of creating those lesson plans and unit plans. And the hope is if you are in front of your panel, hopefully you'll be able to follow along and kind of do the things as I do them. So before we get started, just a reminder, if you want to be able to see me full screen, Google Meet does not allow me to pin myself. You have to pin me. So you're going to have to find my little icon, hover over it, click the push pin, and that will make me bigger so that you're actually able to see what I'm doing. And we're going to start today's session with a poll that you guys are able to create. So with Snowflake on the panel that we're going to talk about today, you also are able to log into snow.live, which is the web-based version of Snowflake. And inside of snow.live, you're able to create classes and send lesson activities to your students, but you're also able to create these polls. And I see currently that none of you have joined because I have a big fat 0 over here. So if you would take just a minute and either hold your camera up and scan this QR code, or if you have a computer, laptop, Chromebook, something, a web-enabled device, you can just type this ansr.it/3386 into that web browser, and that will allow you to join the poll as well. The poll is anonymous, I promise. So whatever answers you do give, they will show up on the panel, but I won't know who gave me which answer. Which leads me to tell you this. When you create a poll, you can ask for your student's name. It will still be anonymous, so as your students can confidently answer, knowing that their answers are going to go up here anonymously, if you ask for their name at the beginning of the poll, what that will allow you to do is to download a report after you've run your poll, and you can use it as a formative assessment to see which students gave what answers. So you'll hear that little popcorn noise, that's letting me know that you guys are joining. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next to get started. So with polling, what it allows you to do, which is a very cool feature, is on your device right now it's saying please wait. As the teacher, it's giving me a chance to talk about this question before I push the question and answer choices out to my students, because we all know once I push that out to my students, they're not listening to anything I'm saying anymore. They're just going to be staring at their device. So this gives you the chance to talk about that question first. Now I will begin the poll. I decided to use a multiple choice question. So now you've got the question on your device as well as the answers. And again, as you answer, it will be anonymous. Down here, it lets you know how many of your students have answered, how many you're still waiting on. I see that everybody has answered, so I'm going to click to get my results. And 100% of you are hybrid. So you have in-person and you have those virtual kiddos. Again, I'm able to move through this poll as slowly or as quickly as I would like. Maybe I want to take time to discuss these answers, or I can jump straight into my next question. So again, that question goes on my panel before it comes to your device. And this is a draw question. So with this, you can upload any image and the student will choose a color at the bottom. For this, you'll circle the emoji that goes best with how you feel about your ClearTouch panel. You'll click submit. You may have to scroll depending on what device you're on. Once you click submit, it's going to put those up here for me. As the teacher, I can select an image. I can click X to get rid of it if something were inappropriate or I didn't want it up here on the panel, or I can choose to take it full screen and take time to discuss and maybe bring up different answers so that I can talk about those with my students. Okay, once I click results, my answers are going to stay. I'm still allowed to select and delete or take them full screen, but students no longer have the opportunity to answer that question anymore. And then I have one final question. Because we're the science department, this is just a text response. So here your students would just type in a text response and those also will populate on the panel as your students submit those answers. I'll give you another few seconds to do this. There are lots of different features with polling. You can set a timer that could be going down here. So you can set it for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. There is a feature that's built in, so any of those famous curse words automatically, if a student tries to enter one of those, it will kick back to the student and say inappropriate language, resubmit. Again, you are able to click on these and click the X to get rid of it, or just sit. Once I click results, it's going to leave my answers here. Students no longer have the opportunity to answer, but I can still take time to discuss these questions. So I made my poll very short and sweet, 3 questions and we're done. What a lot of teachers choose to do is they'll have numerous questions and they'll maybe ask 1 or 2 at the beginning, ask a couple throughout class, and then you could have like an exit ticket or something at the end of class. So as long as you leave this web browser open, which is where I went in and created my poll, this will stay the same and your students, you can keep opening or minimizing and maximizing this poll. Any questions about this fun little polling feature? You can type those questions into the chat box, but because we're such a small group, feel free to unmute and just kind of chat that way as well.
So I was wondering, so you can set up your poll at the beginning of the class or the year, the unit, like, so where do you keep that? So how do you make it?
So have you logged into Snow.live at all? Okay, so if you go to...
I have it. I did Snowflake.
Snowflake is the panel version. This is the web-based version. So if you log into Snow.live, and I'll show you in just a minute where you can go and find all of the class information on that. But when you go into Snow.live, you would go to create and poll, and then you can create your polls for the entire year and it will keep them all right there for you. And then, so for first period, you would open up a poll, and then second period, you would go back and open up that poll again. So you can pull these up, yeah, as many times as you want. Good question. Very good question. Any other questions about polling?
No questions in the chat.
Okay, fantastic. I didn't ask for your names, and I already jumped out of the poll. But if you go to the ClearTouch Academy, which hopefully you guys have already registered for the Academy, you can register for free. If you haven't, there are courses in here that cover literally anything you could want to learn. But the third course is titled Snowflake Web, Snow.live. And in this course, there is a small section on just polling where you can go in and find all things about polling. And really, when you create the poll, it's almost like entering a multiple choice question. You just go down through and enter your questions, decide what type you want, and then save the poll. It takes a couple of minutes to create these polls. If we have time at the end of the session today, we can go in and I can show you how to create a poll and where we would find that information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so ClearTouch Academy, always a great place for resources for you. Also, your Round Rock Schoology page. Hopefully you have joined this course as well. It's titled ClearTouch Interactive. If not, this information is going to be emailed to you by your IT, but inside here we have all types of information. The very first PDF is 3 pages of links to video tutorials covering anything you could ever want to know about the panel as well. Also, this is where you can go to schedule a one-on-one 30-minute Q&A session with me. So if you have specific questions after you've gotten in and used your panel, you can set that up and we could do something similar to what we're doing now, but make it a live Q&A session. So this is going to be a great resource for you as well. Okay, so a couple of you have your cameras on. For those of you that don't, if you're able to turn on your camera, it's much easier for us to answer questions if you're following along and get stuck. But if you're just sitting back and listening and learning, that is absolutely fine as well. So we're going to jump in and talk about Snowflake. Hopefully you've opened Snowflake on your panel, but if not, that is absolutely fine. Right on your desktop, there is an icon that says NUITech Snowflake. You're going to double tap on that icon and it's going to launch the Snowflake program for you. I started in Snowflake earlier. This is Snowflake. So I'm going to close down all the things I had going on. When you double tap on that icon on your desktop, it's going to automatically open the Snowflake spindle for you. So this is what your panel should look like. For those of you that are on, go ahead and try to launch Snowflake, or let me know if you have launched Snowflake and yours does not look like this. If it's bright blue with a tiny little white cute creature down here, you are in elementary mode and we need to switch you over to secondary mode. So let me know.
A comment that came in, it says my desktop is loading slowly.
That is determined by your school's Wi-Fi speeds. So the speed of your panel, because you guys are on Wi-Fi, is going to be determined by your school Wi-Fi speeds. Snowflake is a very robust program. So after you double tap on it, it will take a minute or so for it to load.
And that's it for right now in question.
Okay. So I'm...
One other tip is if you're going to launch Snowflake, you don't want to have any other big programs open. You can have a browser open, but simplify it because Snowflake is fast.
Perfect.
Since the whole district's internet was down this morning when school started, we are having some problems.
Okay, yep. That is what I was afraid of. We had to cancel this morning's because, there was no internet whatsoever. So I've got my Google Meet over here. I'm trying to look.
Hey, this is Mrs. O'Brien.
Okay.
I'm trying to decide what do I touch?
It says NUITech Snowflake. It's going to be I'm sorry. All of the panels should have it. It will just say new.
Please enter the connection password at the sender to join.
No, you have something else open. Go ahead and click on the plain blue section of your panel and find the icon that says NUITech Snowflake, NUITEQ.
I think I need to move that.
Yeah.
What I touched. Okay.
Sorry, Christine, did you have a question too?
I don't know. It's a small enough group. I don't ask questions away.
Please, feel free. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Should I be watching this presentation on our Meet on my little computer, but then practicing with
Yeah.
the Snowflake lines?
Yeah. Yes, that typically works the best. Yeah, that typically works the best if you could turn, maybe turn your like Susan has hers, kind of, yeah, facing the panel like that is absolutely perfect. Okay, so those of you that I can see, you're in secondary mode, which is fantastic, right where we want you to be. And the first thing on the agenda that we were going to talk about today was splitting your screen into zones. So on your Snowflake spindle, let's go ahead and click on the app that says Zones. It's going to give you a few options, and if you click that plus button, it's going to give you several other options. For the sake of our sanity and to keep things straight, let's just choose the 2 zones. So our second choice with 2 zones. And what this does is this allows us to have 2 applications running completely independent of one another. So I can have something on this side and then something completely different on the right side of my panel. And if you haven't gotten in and messed around with Snowflake at all, basically this is on a giant spindle. 1 finger will move it slowly, 5 fingers moves it very quickly, and you're able to rotate through the different categories. Everywhere you go inside of Snowflake, so no matter what app you're in, or if you're on this main spindle, you're going to have a left and right corner menu for each zone. So we've got a left and right corner menu for our left zone, and we have a left and right corner menu for our right zone. The 2 other apps that we're going to talk about in today's session are Google Docs and Canvas. So on our left zone, let's click the Google Docs app. So you'll just tap it 1 time. Give it a minute to open. So your Wi-Fi speeds will determine how quickly this opens, as well as how many things you have inside your Google Docs, Google Slides, all of those fun things. So we open Google Docs on our left spindle. Now on our right zone, let's click on the Canvas app. So we'll open Canvas on the right zone and Google Docs on our left zone. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll wait for you guys to log in. The first time you log in to Google Docs, you do have to sync your Google Drive with it. So it will ask for that criteria. One of the most important things you can remember, never enter your passwords on the actual screen. You want to grab that external keyboard when you're typing in those passwords. We don't want our kiddos to see those passwords. If you're typing and nothing is happening, you may have to go up and tap your screen where you would normally enter to make sure your cursor is in there, and then go back and actually enter that information.
While we're waiting for people to log in, I did this as an activity with my kiddos. I had instructions on one side, and then I was drawing some DNA vector viral diagrams on the other side.
Okay.
I was wondering if there's a way to record that so that it could be used as a lesson to share with kids who are absent that day.
Yes. In this corner menu, the left and right corner menu, if you click on that corner menu, it's going to give you some choices in white, some choices in black, and right in between is an up caret. If you click on that little up caret, it gives you some additional options, and recording is one of those options where it will do, it's almost like Screencastify. It will record what you have on the screen, and as long as you have a webcam plugged into your panel, the webcam has a microphone on it and it will pick up your voice.
Do you know if our district plugged those in for us?
They should have. Do you have one on top of your panel?
Yeah.
So it's just a USB drive. It will be plugged into that Dell PC on the back of your panel, or you may even have it plugged into that USB plug on the front of your panel as well. But it should be plugged in for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, are we getting logged in? You don't have to.
I can't get my mouse to work.
Okay, if you don't launch Snowflake with a mouse, you can't use your mouse inside of Snowflake. So if you double tapped with your finger to open Snowflake, that's what you have to use inside of Snowflake.
Got it.
Christine, if you have a full keyboard that's also there, by default, this is designed to be touched, so your mouse is kind of like behind it. The F3 key will bring your mouse to the front. So if you are using a wireless mouse, you could possibly hover over, so you might try that.
But then I do F3 to go back to my keyboard, because I could type everything in, and then I couldn't just click done.
Yeah, try the F3 to bring the mouse to the front. Your keyboard will still work, and then F3 in a sense hides your mouse.
Got it. Thank you.
So thank you, Danny. That's a great workaround. Yeah, yeah, I should have told you to open it with a mouse if you wanted to use a mouse. So sorry. But yeah, if you launch it with your mouse, you should be fine. F3, Danny. Thank you. Didn't know that. Love your little tips. You will not have to sign in every time, every few weeks. It's just one of those, after this, it'll verify it every once in a while. But the first time, yeah, you definitely have to. So it looks like you guys have your Google Docs brought up. So now there's a point where maybe we don't want our screen split. Maybe we're going to be working in Google Slides and we want that to take up our whole screen. So to move this Google Slide or Google Docs zone to full screen, we're going to click on our left corner menu. And in the white choices, we have an option that says full screen. Go ahead and click on full screen. And what that does is, like Danny just explained with the mouse and keyboard, this is going to bring your Google Docs to the forefront and put your canvas behind it. So it didn't close your canvas, it just moved it behind it so we're able to see everything here full screen. Google Docs is wonderful, but we're teachers and we don't typically use Google Docs. We typically use Google Slides. Because we went through the Google Docs app, that's what it brought in, our Google Docs. But if you go up to the left-hand corner, you're going to see a tiny little 3-line menu. Click on that 3-line menu and it's going to give you the option now of pulling in your docs, sheets, slides, or forms. So I'm going to choose slides. And then again, depending on my Wi-Fi speeds, it's going to determine how quickly my slide decks come in. But once my slides are loaded, I can scroll through those different slides. And when I find the slide deck that I want to share with my students, I tap on it and it will load my Google Slides. And at this point, it looks very similar to what it's going to look like on your laptop or PC when you're using your Google Slides. It will load all of your slides here on the left. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click Present, and it will send it into present mode. And then you're able to move through your slides by simply tapping on the screen, and it will move to the next slide. If you touch down here in this bottom left-hand corner, it will let you choose a specific slide and go backward and forward. And then if you grab this corner Q menu, so left or right side, it's going to be the same menu. It just depends on which side you teach from. When we click this corner menu, there's an annotate tool inside of here. So if we click that annotate button, I can click on the pen. I can come in and choose a pen and I'm able to annotate over my Google Slides.
What if I want to annotate on the side I'm teaching from?
I'm sorry, what if you want to, what?
I opened the annotate tool on the right-hand side because that's where I'm teaching.
Okay.
It came up on the other side.
You clicked on the corner menu. Sorry, let me close this. You clicked on the corner menu on that bottom right side?
Does it have to be bottom right? Because I just clicked the bottom left to do the other things. But now I'm getting done.
If you're trying to teach on the left side, you would click the corner menu on the left side. If you're trying to teach from the right side, you would click the corner menu on the right side. Oh, the annotate. Yeah, Danny. Can you flip that?
Can I flip the annotate?
I don't think so. I'm actually checking it right now.
honestly never tried to bring it up from the right side. I'm going to be real honest with you. We'll give Danny a few minutes. He'll come back to us and let us know if this can be changed.
Okay.
It can be in other places, but I don't know that it can be here. That's a great question.
Yeah, so on the other side, if I'm teaching computer,
Right. Yeah.
that, it'll.
Yes. Yeah, you would want it on the right side. So let's say we come in and we make our annotations. If we want to save those annotations, so maybe we want to save this image with the annotations that we made, there's a download button. So we can click this download button and this will allow us to save it to that Dell PC, a local drive, Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive if we scroll through here. So we'll just give it a name, save it where we want to save it. It's going to save it as a PNG file, and then you're able to send that out to absent students. Because Google does not allow you to annotate inside of Google Slides, this is a workaround. So in order to move on to your next slide, you have to close these annotations, you have to collapse this toolbar, and then you are able to go back into your slides to move through them. So if you're somebody who is constantly writing on your Google Slides and saving those Google Slides, Google works best in a Google Chrome atmosphere, and your best place to do that is going to be on your Dell PC home screen using your Google Chrome browser, using Pear Deck or Cami or one of the solutions that you're currently using. This is just if you're wanting to pull those into Snowflake, this is a workaround option for you. Okay. Any questions about Google Slides? Okay, so we earlier put Google Slides in front of Canvas. Now we want to switch and bring Canvas to the forefront. So again, we're going to click on that corner menu, and now at the top we've got two options. We've got our Canvas bar, and we have one that says Browser, which is our Google Docs. So now we want to choose the Canvas option, and that's going to bring our Canvas to the front because we want it to be full screen.
Okay, I would like you to say that again, because when I touch the corner, it's just annotating. How do I get the annotating?
You have to click the X to get rid of your annotations,
Yep.
and then you have to collapse that toolbar. The very last choice with the two arrows pointing off the screen. The very bottom choice with the two arrows pointing off the screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So I just have to be really careful about all the other things that I could possibly be touching.
Well, here's what you're touching, I just realized. So there is a floating icon on the left and right side. You'll have to move it out of your way. You were touching that floating keyboard. Yeah, you were touching that little floating taskbar.
And so Kim, just so you know, I did find a way to move it to the left or right.
Okay?
So we'll talk about that later.
Okay, yep. Perfect. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so now we're inside of Canvas. In our orientations, we've talked about all of these tools, so we're not going to take the time to go through and talk about the pen tools and all of those things. They're pretty intuitive, they're pretty self-explanatory. You choose a color, you choose a brush type, you choose the thickness, and you have 20 points of touch here on your canvas. Hand gesture erase will allow you to lay your hand flat and erase. What we want to talk about today is pulling in all of those resources into your canvas. So what I would love is for you to give me your undivided attention for 2 or 3 minutes, not trying to follow along. So this will be kind of one of those I do, we do scenarios. So prior to today's session, actually during your spring break, I went ahead and created a science lesson plan. I created it all, pulled in a bunch of multimedia so that when my students come into class, I don't have to look up YouTube videos or look up websites or look up any of the things. I did it ahead of time, I saved it, and when my students come in, I can go in and open those documents that I've already saved. So here I have a Canvas plan, a Canvas unit plan. We're talking about climate change. This is just kind of my introductory slide. And over here on the right, I'm able to toggle through my different pages. So my next page, I went ahead and I pulled in 3 different websites that I knew I was going to be discussing with my students. My Wi-Fi speeds are very slow right now. I apologize. But so I went in, I found these websites. I can now click on it, take it full screen, and I'm able to go through this just like you would on your PC or computer or on your laptop. I can click on each one and take it full screen and scroll through the different websites. I've got my corner menu over here where I'm able to annotate. I'm also able to annotate using these tools down here over top of my websites as well. And as long as I don't go into this 3-line menu and save any changes, it's going to look exactly the same after I close it and come back for second or third period as well. So we're going to move on to my next page where I have done the same with YouTube videos. So I've loaded up some YouTube videos that I know I'm going to use in class. I simply tap on it. I can take it full screen and then play the video.
Activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are
without taking the time to sit and search it up while my students are waiting on me to enter this information. You can have as many of those websites, as many of those YouTube videos as you want. Here, I just simply brought in a picture from the internet so that we can talk about these. So just kind of a talking point. I just want to show you some of the things you're able to bring in. Here, I've pulled in a multi-page PDF. So I'm able to click through the different pages. I can make this as big or as small as I want, so I can point out certain parts of it for my students. Maybe I want to highlight some key things, so I'm able to do digital annotations over this PDF that I pulled in. And then this is a handout that I'm going to be giving to my students. They're going to have these at their desk maybe, and I can do the same. So I can blow this up, and the students can work on it at their desk, and then I can have them come up and fill this out as they're answering them in their groups. Again, I've done all of this work beforehand. I go in, I save it, and then I'm able to just quickly pull it up. So what I would love for us to do is, let me get back into my Canvas here. I would love for us to walk through the steps of pulling in that multimedia information so that you can load up these things as well, so you're not having to take the time while your kiddos are in class. So if you want to follow along, then follow along with me at your panel, and those that just want to watch, feel free to just sit back and watch. But before we start pulling those things in, are there any questions?
So, I'm the ditto queen, that's when I started working.
Yeah.
So what's the advantage of this versus what we already do?
What do you already do, I guess?
Well, I use eLearn, and I use Schoology some because the district makes me do that. So I guess my question is why rebuild what we already have?
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I into this. I mean, is this where, I don't know if you know this or not. I mean, you're a Snowflake person, you're not a Round Rock ISD person necessarily. But, I mean, is the expectation that we move to this TV thing and everything goes in this?
That is going to be the expectation, I think, over the course of the next few years. But I think the great thing about Snowflake is, even if you're somebody who builds all of your lessons in like Google Slides or something like that, you're able to pull those things into Snowflake through that Google Docs app. So you're not necessarily recreating, this gives you a place where you can pull everything into one main place to display for your students, if that makes sense. Where before maybe you're going and you're opening web browser and you're going to Schoology, and then you're opening another web browser and you're going to eLearn, and you're opening another web browser and you're going here and there. And this really allows you to do all of that from right here. So you're not having to go into all of the different places. Does that?
Terry, this is Danny. A couple things just to chime in, piggyback off what Kim was saying, is for the time being, as you get started, keep using the things that you're already using as you start to migrate toward the newer content, because you can still keep using everything the way it is. Now, one great thing about what Kim is showing, and one of the things I work with schools and districts around the country that I support, is we start using that collaboration piece. And since this is the science department, I've got a lot of districts that got, 150 campuses I support. And what they're doing is they basically have like a shared drive, and people are making starting Canvas lessons with all that content and sharing it out with the whole team. Some people are going to pick up on this extremely quickly, so they might make some better content faster, but then you can start to make what works for you. One of the other key things where the board comes into play is it's not only about you being the one at the board, it's about engaging your students, especially when they come back and you start to have work in person, where you can bring them up to the board and have them do the writing, have them do the searching. You can have them pulling them up without exposing the computer, but by keeping them inside the white.
Okay,
No
so,
better than-
all right, well, our district hasn't used Canvas before, but it's not that user-friendly as far as I'm concerned, so I was just wondering, compared to what we have, it's a little bit more difficult, more involved to upload all of our stuff into Canvas. Some of it's not gonna transfer.
So Terry, just so you know, the Canvas that you and I first started learning for Project Lead the Way is a different program than the Canvas that they're talking about.
That's a learning management system like Schoology. So this is just Canvas Whiteboard, not Canvas LMS. Has nothing to do with the other. Sorry. I need to remember to be more specific when we're talking about that, so that, yeah, people don't think it's the LMS.
I
So,
also heard that part of this is because they're getting rid of our document cameras. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's true or not, but that's what I heard. So this is the system that will be replacing our document cameras, and it's just, at the very minimum, it's a more interactive document camera that allows you.
I think they're getting rid of the projectors, not the document cameras.
That's
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they are. I definitely know they are, because the bulbs to replace in those projectors is $300.
Yeah. That gets pricey. Okay, so let's talk really quick about pulling these things into this Canvas whiteboard tool. So along the bottom, there's a little tool that says www. Go ahead and click on that www, and that's going to bring in a Google web page. So if you click on the little search bar, it's going to bring up a keyboard, and then you can type in anything you would typically search for in your class. I'm going to stick with global warming. And you'll hit enter, and it will go out and do a Google search for whatever you've put in there. And then you're able to, you can take this full screen to see it better, but then you're able to scroll through just like you would a web page. You are able to click on any of the websites that you find, and it will open up that website for you. What happened?
I bumped the escape button on the keyboard because I've been moving around.
I got you. And so now you've got the website. If you'll notice, well, if you have a black background like mine, you won't be able to notice. If there's a dotted line around it, that lets you know it's an active web page. If you click outside of that web page, that dotted line will go away, and you're able to pinch this down or blow it up, but then you're able to pinch it down and move it over and click that www again and bring in website after website after website, so you can have several websites here at the same time. So,
And
Yep.
one of the tips that I'd like to share, Kim, especially using your example of global warming, I first point out where the navigation tools are on the browser, because they're in the opposite end. They're all in the bottom versus being in the top, which we're used to in Chrome. But the other thing is when I get a lot of teachers that do searching for Google, they actually copy that Google search result, and that way they can have a duplicate and pull up several websites from it.
good tip. Good tip,
Can you
Tim.
say that again?
So, Kim, if you go ahead and open up that main one that you had,
Okay.
and, yep, and down at the bottom, so hit your back arrow to go back to your Google search. So you're seeing your navigation buttons are at the bottom of your browser. That's designed in the event you have someone that is not vertically up enough to reach the top, they can actually reach the URL on the bottom. But right now, Kim, I can't see from your screen because everybody's on. Do you have the duplicate button when you're in full screen?
I do not.
So the duplicate button is like a little outline of a person next to a person. So if you select that main one you got the results on, go ahead and hit the duplicate. That should be your first icon. It'll actually make a copy of the exact website that you were at. So a lot of people like pulling up a search engine and they see 3 or 4 sites they want. Instead of them going back into Google and retyping and researching, I can copy and then navigate to the other site.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So any questions about pulling in websites? We are down to about 3 minutes remaining. So I want to jump to really quickly to make sure you know how to pull in YouTube videos as well. On the far right side, you've got your page navigation. If you click that plus button, it's going to give you a fresh, clean page. So go ahead on the far right, click that plus button. It'll give you a clean page in your Canvas. And then at the very bottom, there's a little mountain and sun. This is our media browser tool. It looks like a mountain and sun. If you click on that, it's going to bring up several options for you. At the top, there are 3 buttons. One says media browser, one says YouTube, and one says lesson activities. Let's click on where it says YouTube. Everyone seeing it? So after you click on YouTube, it's then going to give you a feature right here that says search. If you click inside that little search bar, it's going to bring up a tiny keyboard. You click on that keyboard, it's going to bring up a bigger keyboard. Again, you'll type in whatever you're searching for. It will go out and do a safe YouTube search. You're able to then scroll through the different sites that or the different videos that it brings back for you. And then once you find one you want, you simply tap on that tap on that image. It will pull in your YouTube video for you. And what's great about YouTube inside of Canvas, all of the advertisements that you normally see at the beginning and all of the suggested videos at the end have been taken out, and it rolls right into, well, this one is unavailable, so it is being blocked. You may have this, I guess, from time to time. So I chose a bad YouTube video, apparently. Let's try another one. Because of your school firewall, you might have videos that get blocked. It's just going to depend on your school firewall. Again, if I click off of that video anywhere in the white, I'm able to pinch this down and move it around and open additional YouTube videos, as many as I want to pull in. It still has my global warming brought up, so I can bring in numerous and get them all loaded up and ready to go.
Hey, I feel like I'm on NCIS not New Orleans, Los Angeles with the panel.
That's cool, right? I love that show.
What's that show beside me?
I do. I love that show.
That screen across?
Of course I watch it, Carrie.
I'm the oldest person on this call. Do something.
Look at you. So now let's talk about saving this information. Once you have everything brought in that you want to bring in to this unit plan, lesson plan, content, whatever you want to call it, you're going to go to this 3-line menu in the bottom, at the very bottom on the left. You'll click that 3-line menu and it's going to give you several options. You want to choose the top option that says Save As. So let's click Save As. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to have some things that say Home, Desktop, Downloads. That is your Dell PC. So you have access to save anywhere on that Dell PC. In that gray area, you're able to scroll up and down. So you also have access to your local school drives, a flash drive if you have a flash drive plugged in, or you can save it to Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive. So you'll give it a name, decide where you want to save it, but just know this is a Canvas file and can only be opened in Canvas. So you created it in Canvas, it can only be opened in Canvas. Canvas on your panel, and you also have access to Snowflake and Canvas on your school laptops. So you can save it and pull it up to work on it at home as well, as long as you've got Snowflake downloaded there. So you'll give it a name, decide where you want to save it, click Save, and then when you're ready to reopen it, you'll go back into that 3-line menu, click Open, go to the source that you saved it at, and you're able to pull it right back in. All of the things will be in there that you have saved. So any questions? This is being recorded, so the recording will be sent out to you guys as well as the Schoology information that I gave you. But any questions before we kind of close out and you guys get to go home after your very long day?
Do the students have Canvas on their Chromebook?
They do not, no. So if you would want to save it, you could save pieces of it as a PDF, but this isn't going to be like your Google slide deck where you can send the whole thing to them. This is a Canvas presentation for you to kind of present and have them interacting with in the classroom. Okay, so everything inside of Snowflake is an app. Once you open an app, you have to close that app to get back to your main screen. So we're going to go back into this corner menu and we're going to click Close App. Since we had it split into zones, it closed our right zone. Now you can do the same over here and close this app. And then to get it back, you can click on Zones to take it to one zone. You don't have to. This corner menu also is where you will go to exit Snowflake when you're completely done with Snowflake, but there's another quick tip in here. If you're trying to toggle back and forth between Snowflake and that Dell PC, so maybe you want Canvas open here, but you like using Pear Deck or Kami, and you're using your Google Slides on that Dell PC, if you click Desktop, it will minimize Snowflake for you and let you have access to that Dell PC really quickly and easily without closing Snowflake. And then to get back in, you'll just click on that little horseshoe, click back, and it takes you right back into Snowflake. Again, I click, yeah.
Before you go on, Christine, I think what you're hitting is Adjust Zones. So that is one of the buttons in there. You have zones, and then there's Adjust Zones where you can actually change the size of the zone. So that's where you kept getting that like little drag line when you were clicking that.
Thank you, Danny. Okay.
You're muted, Christine.
Oh, Christine, you're still muted.
Danny knows what I was doing. I was just trying to go, because I split the screen, and then I was trying to go back to one screen.
Okay, so yeah, you,
So I'll figure that out.
so go ahead. Oh, go,
Go back to the zone.
and you'll just click the one. Yep. Yeah, yeah, it's confusing.
It's actually a fairly new feature, and a lot of people do it, even I do it sometimes, getting click happy. So even though we do this all the time, we still get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this and then I'm going to ask you a quick favor. I do want to respect your time and I know you are more than ready to go at this point, but if you would take a minute or two and scan this, I can post a bit.ly code in the chat box in a second as well, but if you would give us feedback about today's session, we would greatly appreciate it. We use this to improve our training sessions going forward. So I'll leave this up here. I will post it in the bit.ly or a bit.ly link in here as well. And then if you have questions, feel free to ask away.
Recording and let me screen share, I can show Susan how to actually move the annotation tool to the other.
Oh yeah, I want to see that too. Yeah. Do you want to do that? Or I'm recording in my vMix. Well, I don't know that it will let you, I still don't know. I don't think it'll pick it up. Do you want to walk me through the steps?
Yep.
Okay. Good memory, Danny. I already forgot. Look at you.
Just so you know, you have to actually be out of Snowflake in order to do it.
Oh, really? I didn't watch her then. Do I have to have it closed or can I just have it minimized?
I would close it.
Okay. I love learning new things from you, Danny. Thank you. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit so I don't have to adjust it in the recording.
So we want to wait for them, or you want me to walk you through it now?
Let's go ahead and walk through it now because then they can go back to finishing the survey if they haven't already.
Christine's got a question? Oh, she was waving by.
Okay.
Okay, so if you go into your Windows icon on the lower left for programs, look for the NUITech Snowflake folder.
So this is in alphabetical order. So I'm just going to scroll down and find NUITech Snowflake.
And then look for the Snowflake configurator.
Okay. They may have this locked down at Round Rock.
And once it loads, you're going to go to the miscellaneous tab at the top.
Okay. Miscellaneous tab at the top.
And do you see where it says annotation settings?
I do.
Enable it would be the left, or disable is the left, and enable. So you have a check mark in yours right now.
And it says save.
Above email, there should be position.
Oh, position. Yeah, position. Enabled right, disabled left.
You have a check,
No.
put a check in it. And now close that window. And now launch Snowflake. That's the reason why when you do changes in configurator, you want to have Snowflake closed.
Makes perfect
This
sense.
is a common tactic for you guys to go into.
We actually have the configurator on our home screen when we open it up.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So now if you actually click your annotation tool, Kim,
It
comes
is
up
on the
other side.
right. Okay, very good. So that will be recorded. Perfect. So we will have it in the recording so you can walk back through the steps. But
When I talk through your recording.
no, that's absolutely fine. That's what small groups are for, right? I'm going to exit this and I'm actually going to walk back through it again because I want to change it back to my left side so you can follow through these steps again with me. So you guys have it, you have Snowflake Configurator on your desktop. Hopefully you're able to just go in and make the changes, but we'll see. Mine is not, so I have to scroll through to find my NUITech Snowflake folder. I'm going to click on Snowflake Configurator. I'm going to click on Miscellaneous, and under Annotation Settings, where the first one says Position, if I have a check mark, it pins it to the right. If I uncheck it, it will pin it over here to the left. And then I will close, and it will be back to where it was. Fantastic. Thanks, Danny. All right. Any other questions before we go?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Most of the time, you know, these trainings go too fast and I don't ever get anything right. So thank you so much. I was able to follow, and I know a lot more about this TV now than I ever thought I would.
Ah, that's awesome. I love to hear it. Have you joined the Schoology course yet?
No, I haven't.
So I'll bring up the code in just a second, but if you go to that course and sign up, in the very first PDF where I have video tutorials, on that main screen, this will allow you to do exactly what we're doing now, but it would just be you and I. So we can go through as quickly or as slowly as you want and answer specific questions about what you're doing in your classroom. And you would do it right here at the second bullet. It literally gives you a link to my calendar where you can schedule a one-on-one with me.
Wow, okay.
Here's the access code. I'll blow it up real big. That way it will be in the, oh, you know what? I'll put it in the chat. I've got it pulled up, and that's easier if you just copy it that way, probably.
I just took a picture of it.
Oh, perfect. I do that all the time too. Okay, very good. Okay, so yeah, you do have to join the course, but then you'll have access to all of that stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Danny. And we will see you. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.